Hello there, one and all, and welcome to take 2 of episode 472 of Love at First Scent. Can please somebody just tell me whether the audio is coming through? Because I was quite happily chattering away to myself in take 1 for, I think, a good 2 minutes before I was told that there was no audio coming through. So let's find out. Oriana, you still technically get the first comment because you were the one who had the first comment on take 1, which has now been abandoned and deleted into the ether. But the first comment for this video goes to Atalay, who says, "Hello again. We'll always come back, Mr. P. Somebody please tell me whether the audio is coming through. Anyway, I will find out in due course." So thank you very much for tuning in to episode 472, regardless of whether you're watching the live or you're watching the recording. And I'm trying to remember what I said in the opening of the last one. Yes, it's been a little while. Unexpectedly, it's been a little while. I thought I might have had some time last week to do a few videos, but this is the time of year when other commitments have to take over, and without kind of boring you with lots of details, with my education hat on, I have to mark lots and lots of exam papers, and as you can imagine, that takes a lot of time. But anyway, I think we're kind of juggling the schedules well, and between now and sort of mid-end of July, when I always put the channel for its, put it away for its summer break, I will try to squeeze in as many videos as possible. So thank you very much for bearing with me. I think we have success now. I think audio is good now, says Basil, so says David, so says FRD. The annoying thing with all of this is that I don't actually do anything differently. All I did was I shut down the previous stream and started it up again. I didn't change a single setting. Go figure, right? You know, the old, have you tried turning it off and on again? Who else is here, by the way? Dave is still here. Milad is still here. Stephanie says hello from NYC. Natalie is here too. So is Gavin. Okay. Thank you very, very, very much indeed for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below if you would like to find out how you can support my work. Best audio that has ever been heard, says Yet Not Dead. That's very, very sweet. Thank you. And I should also say, because I said it in the previous video, but none of you heard it, thank you very much for helping me get past the 23,000 subscriber mark. Yeah, the numbers keep growing, which is great. Maybe not as quickly as they would be growing if I were sort of parading around in white underwear, but that is not a strategy I am planning to employ anytime soon. Don't worry. You don't need to look away. Next stop, 24,000, says Tripty. Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Sean says, listening from Heathrow. Are you going somewhere or have you returned? Either way, bon voyage, whatever it is that you're doing. So we've got a kind of longer video planned for you today, a feature-length video. I mean, I don't know why longer has to go in quotation marks. It's a fairly standard word, isn't it? Yeah, so put the air quotes away, Persolaise. Looking at a few new and newish releases. I would like, if possible, to get through 6 with you, one of which we've already kind of touched on in a video that I did a couple of weeks ago. And I think we may as well just get going. Some of these may be new to you. Some of them you may have tried. Let's go with one which is a Harrods exclusive, which, you know, by definition means that not many people are going to be able to try it unless they're people who want to just order it blind from the Harrods website or come to London and try it at Harrods. It's new from Acqua Di Parma, and it's part of their I think it counts as part of their Signatures of the Sun collection, but please forgive me if I'm wrong. So the packaging, as you can see there, has got some Harrods colours in it, and it is an oud. I'm filling the silence now with the sounds of all of you sighing, but hey, you know, and it is called, there we are, it is called Oud and Zagara, but I suppose if I were pronouncing it in the Italian way, and at least one person is watching from Italy, should it be Zagara? I guess it's not going to be Zagara, or is it? I don't know. Either Zagara or Zagara, which is orange blossom. Okay, so it's oud and orange blossom. We have got pre-sprayed blotters. We have got press releases, I think, for pretty much everything that we're going to be talking about today. So let us get going. Let's start. Just, not having done this for 2 weeks, it feels like I kind of need to remind myself of what the drill is. Big fan of Acqua Di Parma, says FRD. Good to know. Oh, Valeria says, oh, so you've got an accent there. So is it Zagara? The intonations, the stresses in other languages, is it going to be... But the thing is, you're going to say to me, yes, and I'm not going to know which pronunciation was correct. Anyway, ADP, right. Praying, first syllable, says Valeria. Yeah, I was wondering whether it's Zagara or Zagara, but let's just smell. So we're expecting oud, we're expecting orange blossom. Let us see. I do think that ADP Acqua Di Parma tends to do better when they do their lighter cologne-like scents. I was quite taken with their blue Mediterraneo that we reviewed, I think, a couple of months ago, didn't we? But when they start kind of doing heavy, when they start doing, sandalwoods and ouds and things like that, personally, I'm a little bit less convinced. But I would imagine those ranges must be doing well for the brand because they keep pushing them out. Anyway, here we go. Gosh, I have to say that is an intriguing start, because orange blossom, if any of you have been fortunate enough to smell orange blossom out there, or the materials that are used, the ingredients that are used, even though it's floral and bright and fresh, it has also very, very definitely got, through its indolic facet, it's got a kind of funky animalic, I don't want to say dirty, because dirty is not the right word, but yeah, I suppose funk, maybe sort of bodily, intimate scent to it. And of course, that would tie in extremely well with a good oud note. And that's certainly the opening of this. It's a kind of wicked flower or a floral wood. That's kind of interesting. And I have to say, at least in terms of the opening, it's unlike any oud that I've smelt for a long time. It's very, very bright. It's somehow quite white, sort of like blindingly white solar, but has also got this woody base to it. Now, the oud note, if it is an oud note, it's not coming across as excessively or particularly fecal or barnyardy or camphoraceous, but it's very, very woody, very strongly woody, very strongly leathery, kind of touch of woody ambery notes, which is why I shall be very, very interested to smell the pre-dipped I was going to say pre-dipped mermaid, the pre-sprayed blotter. The blotters, by the way, were sprayed about 3 hours ago, so we should be well into the heart notes. Oh, Dave NYC says, I know you hesitate to speak about Amouage, but can you compare to King Blue? That is also an orange oud. Yeah, but that is a kind of citrus fruit. That is a kind of all-out mandarin-y orange fruit, whereas this is orange blossom, so quite different. No, I mean, this did not make me think King Blue, which was Opus, I should know, King Blue was Opus 15? We've got one person watching from Muscat. I'm pretty sure it was 15, wasn't it? Cat Porter says that Fragrantica says that Zagara means white flower in Arabic. Yeah, I think that is the etymology. And I think particularly in Sicily, that's the word that's used as well for orange blossom. This is sorry, I'm just struggling to put it into words, because it is fascinating. There is something of a kind of huge white veil about it, or a kind of train, almost like a kind of wedding dress train, this massive whiteness on a kind of beautifully polished, shiny brown church floor. There's a really, really strong contrast at play here, but both of the elements are really shiny. It's extremely luminous. And I think that's what makes it interesting as well as an oud scent. Fascinating. Let's do the press release. Let's do the press release. Sharon says the brand really excels at citrus, and so I'm curious about this one. Although I have some oud fatigue. Sharon, I think we all got oud fatigue at some point in the 16th century. I mean, which is why I think I'm sort of past the fatigue. And if a new oud comes along now, I just think, okay, well, try and impress me with something that hasn't been done before. I am sort of beyond the fatigue, and which is it's sort of easier to be at this point now because we almost don't expect anything terribly interesting from a new oud. Anyway, let us look at the press release. I do wish Acqua Di Parma would tell us who the perfumer is. I mean, some people have intimated to me that it is still François Demachy, but I have no idea whether that's true. There are people who have more insights into these sorts of things. Anyway, Acqua Di Parma presents oud and... Shall I just really annoy all the Italians and go, oud and Zagara? The white, pristine notes of orange flowers blend with the intensity and depth of oud. Acqua Di Parma unveils oud and Zagara, a new limited edition Signatures of the Sun fragrance available exclusively at Harrods. A scent that unfolds with a discreet sophistication. Oud and Zagara marries the white, pristine notes of Zagara orange flowers with the intensity and depth of oud. The essence of oud with origins in the Middle East brings a warm depth that contrasts yet complements the light and airy whiteness of the orange blossom, evoking the sun-drenched Mediterranean Riviera. The vibrant result is an olfactive experience of black and white. Well, Persolaise went for brown and white. Can I have brown and white? Can I have sort of polished wood and white? But interesting that they're going for contrasts here. Softness and strength, purity and sensuality, in a vision where two seemingly irreconcilable essences are masterfully united, revealing the beauty of an unconventional signature. I'll let you work out whether that sentence makes any sense. Let's move on. Capturing the essence of contrast, the essence of contrast. No, sorry, there's more. The essence of contrast and harmony. The fragrance starts with the bright, vivacious notes of bergamot, nutmeg, and lemon, which burst forth like the first light of dawn. This vibrant introduction paves the way for a heart where the rich golden warmth of saffron meets the pristine white notes of orange flowers and ylang-ylang. The agar wood, along with the citrus, forms an olfactory narrative of remarkable depth and vibrancy. At the base, the fragrance settles into the earthy, robust notes of vetiver, intertwined with the underlying sensuality of musk and cistus, and with the resinous nuances of ambergris and suede leather. The combination lingers on the skin, etc., etc. The packaging, etc., etc. A journey through contrasts, a luxury that unveils over time. And so that is it. At least it's quite succinct and to the point. What's that? Cat Porter says there's always more in this ad copy. Right, let's pop that there before everything collapses. Gino says, I may be the only outlier here who hasn't experienced oud fatigue yet. I'm all for it. Well, then that's good then. That's good. Start with the Persolaise guide to the best oud perfumes and work your way through that. Marco, by the way, says, I have life fatigue. Well, we are sending you some fatigue-busting thoughts. Right, I'm a bit worried about doing the pre-sprayed one here, but let's go because I'm be fascinated to find out. How much is it, says Turner. Well, expensive. It's going to be expensive. I don't have the information here, but I would imagine if it's a Harrods exclusive and if it's a Signatures of the Sun, it's going to be over £200, isn't it? It's going to be over £200, and this bottle here is 100 mils. Yeah. Anyway, pre-sprayed oud and Zagara. We should have a press blurb bingo card. Do you know what? In my first year of teaching, and this is going back a few years now, I had a year 11 group. So for those of you who don't know what that means, English school currency, that's the final year of secondary school before doing your sort of first lot of public examination. So basically 16-year-olds. And I found out that they had made bingo cards for all of the things that apparently I said. I don't think in those days I was saying things like, hello there, one and all. And the first that I came to know of it was I'd said something and suddenly a girl sort of her hand shot up into the air and she went, "Bingo!" I thought, this is a true story. This is and as a souvenir, they gave me all of their bingo cards. That was good. That was a nice way to go into the teaching profession. Right, pre-sprayed oud and Zagara. Um, okay, that contrast has been sustained. I'm impressed. I'm impressed because I was really, really worried that it might go down the Woody Ambers route. Um, Sarah says kids are so mean, but it wasn't mean. And the thing is that afterwards I said to them that it was brilliant because it actually meant that they were hanging on my every single word, waiting to see if I would say these things that I supposedly said. So there we are. Um, this is interesting. This is one of the best ADP sort of non cologne ones we've had for a long time. Um, I mean, okay, the orange blossom note in its intensity has kind of faded away, but it is still there as a kind of floral sheen. And the oud isn't excessively oudy. It's, I suppose, much more about a kind of vetiver note, an ambery note. This is this is interesting. This is interesting. This is going to get a proper on skin test drive. I wasn't expecting it to be this intriguing. I bet it's an oud accord, says Basil. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think almost all perfumes now that contain oud may contain a few drops of the real stuff, and then the rest of it will be some kind of synthetic thing. Zam Bowman says, greetings from LA. That shirt would be dangerous here, Mr. P. Yes, I seem to remember the last time I wore it, or that came up as well, and somebody said that it's some kind of gang thing, right? Well, I mean, okay, I'm nowhere near LA, so I should be fine. Oriana says, can you imagine Mr. P giving some gang signs? No, no. Right, so we've done one, and we're nearly at the 20-minute mark, so we need to get a move on. Okay, let's go. Let's do this brand, because this is a brand that since its revival, I have sort of faithfully reviewed every single one of their new releases. It's a brand that's been around for a while and then kind of went away a little bit because its owner and creative director had some health issues, and then he came back. And the brand in question is Quartana, set up by Joseph Quartana, who very, very kindly gave up some of his time a little while ago to do an interview about the revival of his brand. And this is the new one from him called Soleil Invisible, Invisible Sun. A lot of you will know that I was very, very, very taken with his Hierofante, which was the first of his sort of revived perfumes. Maybe a bit less so with the second one, whose name escapes me. Was it the Forest of the Golden Dream, something like that? But let us see what the Invisible Sun has to offer. We have got a little bit of a press release on this one, as well as a pre-sprayed blotter. Bottle looks simplistic yet opulent, says Mika Shoemaker. Yeah, I know. I quite like these bottles. Ooh, okay. Speaking of Woody Ambers, I'm suddenly getting... Okay, interesting. This is intriguing because what wafted up from the blotter, which suggests that maybe that's what the dry down is going to be, was a kind of brace of Woody Ambers. But what I'm getting now, well, what I'm getting is not something that I would have immediately thought is particularly solar or sun-like. But it's a sort of strange, bitter, herbal woodiness. Quite hard to describe. It is very, very warm, a very, very warm scent. So maybe that's where the sun comes in. Kind of spicy, but not overtly sort of obviously spicy. I mean, I almost wanted to kind of say, is it nutmeg? Is it cinnamon? But kind of doesn't work in that way. It's very, very hot, but quite dark, almost like a sun shining in the night. But also quite impenetrable. It's sort of quite difficult to work out. I think I need a little bit of help. I think we need to go to the press release and see if what's written in there chimes with what I'm smelling. Parfum Quartana, recipient of 2 of the world's most prestigious blindfold perfume prizes, including the Fragrance Foundation Perfume Extraordinaire Award and the Art and Olfaction Awards Independent Category Prize, is launching their newest perfume, Soleil Invisible, on the 23rd of May, so it's only been around for a little while, the second in an all-new collection inspired by healing ritual called Les Potions d'Enteleki. And I think we went into that when we talked about Hierophante. Soleil Invisible and Forest of the Golden Dream are the first 2 releases in an all-new collection of fragrances inspired by healing rituals. Each perfume was perfected over 8 years with IFF perfumers Christina Christie and Celine Barrel. This one is by Christina Christie. Inspired by creative director Joseph Quartana's own convalescence after a near-death experience left him hospital-bound in 2017. The new collection harkens back to the healing practices of ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome, inspired by the power of essential oil combinations historically used to communicate with the gods in order to spark inspiration and hope. Les Potions d'Enteleki are supercharged aromatherapy, designed to make one feel radiant while smelling divine. They will be released sequentially over the next few years rather than all at once. And so let us get to Soleil Invisible. The kind of quote that goes with it is eternal sunshine of the soul. We're informed that it's concentrated at 15%, and they're selling it as an EDP. In the top, or what they're calling the crown, we have something called opaline. Somebody quickly Google that. So it must be an IFF material. Opaline is spelled Opalene. An LMR natural pink pepper oil, CO2 extraction, passion fruit, lychee, and tangerine. Okay, fruitiness. I mean, I'm not immediately getting a kind of fruitiness, but maybe what I was reading as something being bitter is actually maybe the kind of sour feel of something like tangerine or passion fruit. Then in the heart, there's an LMR vetiver, an LMR cypress, an LMR Sichuan pepper, armoire heart oil, rose essential, and orris. All of those are listed as being LMR, so pretty high quality naturals. Passion fruit can smell bitter, says Tripty. Okay, thank you very much. I mean, I've rattled off those things, but it is a very, very abstract blend. Yes, I suppose I would have thought maybe there's a bit of vetiver or cypress in it, but it's more about a kind of a sort of haze of warmth. And then in the base, or the root, as they say, oakwood LMR, a Javanese vetiver oil, a Madagascan vanilla absolute LMR. Oh, there we go. Basil says that opaline is a synthetic musky citrus, according to Google. I wonder if that's what they've got in here. Could be. And then Gaiac wood, labdanum, amber tonic crystals. Wonder what they are, could be. And an earthy musk. Intriguing. It's hard to work out. I think what it is that you smell it, and as soon as you kind of think that you're going for the woodiness, for this very, very, very kind of deep, breathe from your diaphragm, sonorous woodiness, something kind of leaps in at the top, almost like a kind of, a citrus meerkat going, hello, I'm still here, which makes it difficult to work out precisely how the perfume functions. So I forget who it was. Somebody asked whether the Acqua Di Parma has some sort of similarities with Amouage Opus 15. It's actually this one that makes me think a little bit more of Opus 15 because it's much more about bright citrus over dark woods rather than floral over dark woods. Gavin says Opaline is also a brand name of a sedative. Yeah, I doubt it's that somehow, Gavin. And Wagstaff says we absolutely need a fragrance called Citrus Meerkat now. Well, I mean, zoologists have a meerkat already, don't they? Right. Let's do the pre-sprayed one. I'll be very, very intrigued. Where is my Quartana pre-sprayed blotter? Okay, here we go. Rachel says Opaline is a top note that gives a fresh boost to citrus notes, and it's an LMR captive. There we go. Okay, this is pre-sprayed Quartana. Okay, much more overtly vetiver-like now. Much more overtly woody. Somehow much darker, much heavier. I wonder if the inspiration was to kind of think, I don't know, I mean, I should contact Joseph and find out. Almost like a sort of, if the sun were shining in the night, how would that feel? What would a nocturnal sun feel like? What would it smell like? Because it has got the sort of power of a huge heavenly body, a huge star, but as though covered in a plane of darkness. It's intriguing. I guess if there's one thing that stands out the most, it's the sort of Gaiac wood labdanum vetiver feel. Very, very strong contrast from the Hierophante. Yeah, intriguing. I was not expecting that with a name like that. Well done for making us stroke our chins in intriguement, Mr. Quartana. Okay, let's move on because I've got 4 to go. Let's go Dusita. Let's go Parfum Dusita. The brand that was set up quite a few years ago now by Paris-based Pissarro Umavigiani, all of whose perfumes, I think all of whose perfumes are inspired in some shape or form by a poem written by her late father. The brand has many fans around the world. I believe that all of the perfumes are released as extrays. This one is no exception. This is one called, now we need some Greek viewers in the house. This one is called, can you see that? There you go, Pelagos. I'm not going to say Pelagos because I'm sure it's not Pelagos. But is it Pelagos or Pelagos? Who knows? So let us have a spray. Oh, my dear Aurora says, greetings from Thailand, Mr. Persolaise. First time catching you live. I'm excited to hear what you think about Celine. You're very, very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you actually are in Thailand, it must be pretty late there, no? Right, let's have a spray of this one. Dusita is a brand many of whose works I admire, but just speaking very, very, very personally with my sort of more subjective hat on, that I don't wear any of them. I found their oud really interesting, but apparently that's gone, isn't it? Wasn't it called oud? No, was it oud infini or infinite oud, something like that? Anyway, let's see what. Oh, is the spray mechanism not working? No, there we go. 2 sprays I think should be enough of an extray. Let's pop that on there. See what we've got. High seas in Greek, says Christine. Thank you very much. Dusita's Melodie de l'Amour is a summer fave for me, says Sharon. Yeah, loads of people love that one, don't they? A gorgeous gardenia jasmine. The name Pelagos as Christian, meaning sea, dates from classical antiquity, referring to an oak forest on the road from Mantinea to, I can't see that because there's a thing over my screen, but to Tegea. Anyway, thank you very much. All the classicists showing off their knowledge. Now this has actually started off really quite unexpectedly. Fresh, bright citruses, brace of sort of sea salt. Actually, do you know what? I'm transported back to Davidoff Cool Water, which is a good thing. Original Cool Water is an absolute genius perfume. You know, one of the best masculines of all time, composed by Pierre Bourdon, as a lot of you know, and that makes use of a really massive, ginormous sweet citrus note over woods. But this has got a nice kind of dryness to it, almost like a sort of irisy dryness. Maybe something that feels like it could be, you know, a kind of dihydromercenol glassy, citrusy wood quality. It compared to a lot of the other ones from this brand, it's much more approachable, much more accessible, much brighter, much sunnier. There's a lot of citrus stuff going. I mean, I guess that's not surprising, seeing as these are releases that are aimed for the summer. Let's see what the brand says about this one. I don't have a huge amount of info about this one, I'm afraid. What can I tell you about it? The brand says the new Extrait de Parfum is a dynamic composition that evokes the sense of limitless possibilities. The idea of Pelagos, Greek for sea, was born from my deeply cherished memories of the Aegean Sea Islands. Oh, and there is a poem from Pisara's father, Montri Umabijani. Now, I haven't read this before, so I'm probably not going to do it justice, but let's try. Tell me where my limit lies, so I may go up to it and knock just so gently to show I am human. Oh, I like that. I do like that. Very, very gently knocking at the doors of your limits. That's interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. That bears revisiting. Every note of Pelagos is presented under a prism of joyous, spirited luminosity, reflecting the extraordinary light of Greece. There, gazing at the sky and sea merging in the horizon, I felt that anything was possible. Do we have some notes? We have at the top, bergamot and a sea breeze accord. The Love Beneath says, did you drop something on the floor, Persolaise? I don't think I did. Why do you ask? Did you hear a loud bang? Oriana says, his heart sank to the floor and so did mine. The Love Beneath says, did anyone else hear that? Oh, I don't think anything happened here. How bizarre. Perhaps it was when I picked up the iPad to... anyway. And in the heart, we have orris butter, white thyme, and tonka bean. It's very, very attractive, actually. And maybe the thyme is also what's bringing the dryness, the bitterness. And in the base, a leather note, sandalwood, and patchouli. And then it goes on about the bottle and the packaging. So not a huge amount to tell you there. But so maybe when I put this down, you might hear a bang, because that's very close to the mic. But apologies. This is intriguing. Right, let's go to the pre-sprayed one. Pre-sprayed. Dusita. Can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, here we go. Very, very, very dry. Kind of like dried wood floating on the surface of the sea. The marine note is nicely done. This is very attractive. Again, I'm sort of more taken with this one than I have been with a few of the more recent Dusitas. But I shall be very interested to see how the citrus plays out on skin, because there is just something about it that it could either come across as very, very naturalistic on skin or overly synthetic. So once I've worn it, I shall report back. But certainly on paper, it's like a sort of posh cool water, or a much more expensive cool water with a sort of cool water with a poshifying iris note. So cool water people go to one side of the island, and the other people go to the exclusive side of the island. The Pelagos people go to the other side of the island. Interesting. Okay, we have 3 to go. So let us do the one which we have already presented on this channel. It's new from Piguet, but I've since found out, since featuring it on the video of best tuberose perfumes, I found out that actually it's a limited edition. So if you like the sound of it, you need to get it soon. It's the Eau Fraiche of Fracas from Piguet. And I have also found out that it is basically a less concentrated version of current Fracas. So exactly the same formula, according to the brand. But as anyone who's ever made a perfume will tell you, changing the concentration can actually sometimes make it feel as though you're dealing with a different perfume, because even though the formula is the same, for some reason, different concentrations can emphasize different facets. They can somehow suddenly bring attention to bits of the perfume that you had. That was the sound of something falling. This is where we recreate Minority Report and people come crashing through the door. I do love that pink bottle, says Sharon. Well, there you go. Benji says, I actually get quite a lot of cypress on skin from Pelagos. Surprised how much I like it. No, I'm kind of taken with it at the moment as well. I want to try smelling it. So yes, this is current Fracas, which for those of you who don't know, is a kind of out and out vampish, diva-ish, dramatic, no holds barred tuberose with all of that kind of camphoraceous, evil, white floral, nocturnal feel that you would hope for from a tuberose. But in this less concentrated version, it does come across as somewhat lighter, fresher. So I guess that kind of starts aligning it a little bit more with Diptyque's Doson, and Doson was designed to be not exactly a tuberose cologne, but the kind of thing that you could wear as a tuberose cologne. So do check it out. It's almost got, well, just everything feels lighter, and it's almost as though the lower concentration somehow brings out the woodier side of the tuberose rather than the sort of more indolic, animalic sides of the florals. But it works. It works, and I wonder how it'll do for them. Here's the pre-sprayed. Basil says, I wonder, could a straight guy wear Fracas? I don't mind women's perfumes. Of course, anybody could wear it. I mean, for goodness sake, if we don't make distinctions between genders, we're certainly not going to make distinctions between sexual orientation. Absolutely. This is the pre-sprayed fresh Fracas. Yeah, so it stays pretty linear, totally recognizable, almost has a kind of violety, lipsticky feel to it as well in this concentration. But we have also got something completely new from Piguet that I want to share with you. And I want to ask you a question, because every now and then as I'm doing this live stream, a thing pops up from YouTube telling me that an ad has just come on, because I don't control when the ads go on. But I'm very curious what the experience is like for you. When the ad finishes, does the stream leave off? Does the stream resume exactly where you stopped, in which case it's no longer 100% live? Or have you kind of just missed a few seconds of what I've said while the ad was being broadcast? Yeah, how does that work? How does that work? Oh, Basil says, I use an ad blocker. Oh, well, fine. Oh, you just miss out, says Oriana. But you wouldn't if you were watching the recording, right? So that's a bit unfair to disadvantage the people watching the live. I mean, what if I said something incredibly important just when the ad comes on? That's. Oh, Tina says it just jumps right back in. Anyway, well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. Brand new from Piguet is something called A L'Ombre. There we go. So we're expecting something dark and shadowy, made by the perfumer Hamid Merati Kashani, whose name, even though he's been a perfumer for a long time, it's only recently that his name seems to be kind of becoming more well-known. Eric says, I never complain about the live ads, but it picks up where you left off, so we're behind. Oh, it sounds as though it does different things for you as well. Maybe that's a kind of, how bizarre. Anyway, I don't pretend to understand these sorts of things. But I'm very, very interested to smell this one, because when I was doing the pre-sprayed blotters, trying to smell them as little as possible, just kind of doing spray, put away, this one filled the room very interestingly. And I thought, ooh, what's this going to turn out to be like? So I have no idea what the dry down is like, but the opening was certainly quite interesting. So this is Piguet A L'Ombre. Nice to know that the brand is still going. The current creative director there, Bailey Leeds, also very kindly gave up her time a few years ago for an interview. Right, here we go. That is interesting. Yes, and I think I'm just about able to put my finger on what made it interesting. It's like somebody's taken the sort of sweet ambery, gently suede-like citrusy sides of Abbey Rouge and put them over a much darker, gently kind of gourmand, almost caramelized sort of fragrance to create a kind of I'm Mr. Nice Guy until the lights go down, but in a good way, okay, not in a kind of creepy way, type of fragrance. Really, really interesting. And the shadow reference is good, because Abbey Rouge is a kind of quintessential gentleman. You know what I'm thinking of? In the original Bridget Jones's Diary, which I've only, I think, seen once, isn't there a bit, spoiler alert, where the Bridget Jones character, as in the Renee Zellweger character and the Colin Firth character, finally get together? And am I right that they kiss? And doesn't she say something like, "Oh, nice boys or good boys aren't supposed to kiss like that," or and he sort of says, "Oh yes, they effing are." This is that the Mr. Straight-laced nice guy who has actually got some sides to himself that he doesn't often reveal. Um, interesting. Oh, please, please, please let the dry down be good. It is like a sort of naughty Abbey Rouge, maybe because of that caramel note, and a super leathery, naughtier Abbey Rouge. Again, with this one, I don't have a terribly long press release. It's just a tiny little blurb, but I'll be fascinated to read it. Let's see what it says. So, À l'ombre, like the anticipation of dusk as twilight falls on the sky, À l'ombre captures the enigmatic allure of night and the intrigue of the unknown. Bergamot, pear, and apricot. I guess so, but it's not overly fruity. Set the stage for this oriental nectar with a heart of violet, iris, and jasmine, creating a floral crescendo. At its base, amber, caramel, musk, and vanilla lay a blanket of ambrosia, captivating all that encounter it. A blanket of ambrosia. Perfumer Hamid Marathi Kashani. And then it just goes on to repeat the notes: bergamot, pear, apricot, violet leaves, orris, jasmine, sambac, amber, musk, vanilla, absolute, oak moss, caramel, Haitian vetiver, and patchouli. But this is nice. I wonder how it'll do. Okay. Aurora says naughty HR sounds like a good idea. Garlin should take note. Okay, we're doing the pre-sprayed one. Please, please, please let it be good. Where's pre-sprayed ombre? Okay, here we go. Clear the passageways. The more lascivious side of the aristocrat, says Rachel. Yes, that kind of thing. Okay. Okay, so it's become a bit more obviously kind of like aggressive leathery. That contrast with the unexpected sort of gentle sweetness is kind of gone. It's still very nice, it's basically sort of become a kind of vetiver patchouli scent with a kind of mossy note. But yeah, I mean, if this is anything to go by, the opening is more interesting than the dry down. But the opening is very, very, very interesting. Gavin says Christian Grey has taken you into his red room. I haven't seen those films yet, and I haven't read the books. Surprise, surprise. One day, when they're going to be like available to rent for like 99p, and we want to have a good laugh, we might watch them. But I haven't seen them. But isn't Christian Grey actually? I mean, he's never a nice guy, is he? Isn't he sort of meant to be horrible and I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the thing, but isn't the whole idea that he's actually quite unpleasant? I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe that's why people keep falling for him, because who knows? Yeah, okay. So a bit more predictably woody, I suppose, a bit more predictably shadowy. The opening was better. The opening was better. I think while that fruit note is still happening, that citrusy note is still happening. So maybe this has to be one that you kind of reapply to make the opening start happening again and again. Okay. 50 Shades is Pretty Woman updated. That's all I know, says Gavin. Is it? That's not what I heard. Anyway, And finally, we have one from a brand that I haven't talked about a huge amount on this channel, but I hope to be able to talk about a bit more. So even though I've reviewed, I think most of their scents over on the blog. So if you go onto the reviews directory or the reviews index on Persolaise.com, you should be able to see reviews of all of the scents. And it is Celine. This is new from them, called, look at how massive these bottles are. I mean, this is ridiculous as well. This is 200 mils, isn't it? And I think that's all they do. I mean, that's insane. This is called Zouzou. All of these are still under the creative direction of Eddie Slimane. How much longer is he going to stay at Celine? I don't really know very much about what goes on in the haute couture world, but I do know that the designer, whose name has completely slipped my mind now, the one who has been at Chanel since Karl Lagerfeld's death, apparently it has been announced that she is leaving, and so people are going to be talking about who's going to be taking over from her, and some people are saying it could be Hedi Slimane, some people are saying it could be John Galliano, etc. Vivienne Vigard, thank you very much, Basil. Yeah, let's give the lady due credit. But it's Hedi Slimane who's been the creative director at Celine for a while, and also the creative director behind all of the perfumes. He is very much into perfumes, as anybody who has ever enjoyed a bottle of Dior's Eau Noire will tell you. The thing is, does anybody know who makes these? Because the brand has yet to reveal the identity. Oh, sorry, Virginie Viard. So not Vivienne Viard. Get it right. Virginie Viard. She was at Chanel for years. Yes, she was actually at Chanel working with Lagerfeld for a long time, but it was only after he passed away that she became the head designer. Yeah, I would love to know who makes these, because of course people at the time said, "Oh, is it Francis Kurkdjian?" Because they were sort of friends from Dior days, and that's why they can't reveal the identity, because he's sort of exclusive to other brands, etc., etc. Gavin says she was like the Pope. You choose between the popes that matter. Okay, I think something went wrong with the sentence then. I feel these are too soft to be a Kurkdjian, says Tyler. Esumar says there are rumors as to the perfumers such as Annick Menardo. Yeah, well, she did do one of those Dior exclusives back in the day as well for him. Stephanie says Zouzou means smart and intelligent individual, fast thinking and open-minded. Yes, and apparently this has been very much inspired by a kind of sassy 1960s woman. Let's have a sniff. Personally, I think that the excitement that greeted the original Celine perfumes was a little bit exaggerated, a little bit unjustified. But now that the hype has died down, I think it's worth revisiting them, because there are some that are interesting. Like, I personally am still quite fond of Reptile. I think that was good. I know a lot of people saw night clubbing as this kind of super animalic, dirty thing. I'm not sure I ever did, but anyway. Rachel says Lagerfeld was known to be grooming Hedi Slimane to take over at Chanel before his death. I did not know this. Ah, now that's interesting. That's quite attractive. That's like a sort of gently quiet, softly sweet iris. Do you know what this has taken me to? We were talking about Guerlain earlier. How many of you remember Guerlain's Iris Ganache, made by Thierry Vasseur, long discontinued? Iris Ganache was like a kind of super gourmandy, let's just throw the diet to the wind version of Après l'Ondée. And I loved it. I still have a few drops left. This is kind of like somewhere between Après l'Ondée and Iris Ganache. So it's got that kind of gentle, violet-y, irisy feel, but it's got a little bit of the sweetness, almost in the form of a kind of icing sugar accord. And so, yes, I suppose you could read it as being cute, but also sassy at the same time. Gamine, that kind of, 1960s waif. It's very, very twiggy, with the kind of super short, high maintenance haircut, with the kind of cutesy, hiding a lot of intelligence behind the eyes expression on her face. That sort of thing. Gavin says, I tried the Mont Blanc Patchouli and the Iris Leather. They were everywhere in London. I agree with your takes and both worth trying. Ah, good to know. That's really, really good to know. Tripty says, Reptile was among my favorites. Night clubbing is okay. My sister loves black tie. Most of them carry an Iris Vanilla foundation. Curious if Zouzou will carry on with that. Yeah, I would say definitely some kind of an Iris Vanillic feel here. It is gamine. It's that, and if that's what it's meant to be, which I believe it is, because I think the ad campaign features Ewan McGregor's daughter, because why not? Looking very much like a kind of 1960s waif. But I can't really tell you a huge amount about what's meant to be in it, apart from just a very, very basic list of notes, including benzoin, labdanum, musk, patchouli, tonka bean, and vanillin. But there is more to it than that. There is definitely a kind of very, very gently violet-y, irisy thing happening. The whole thing is that it's very, very soft and sweet and quiet and demure, and yet it's got some spark to it. It is quite sparky. Let us do the final one of the pre-sprayed blotters. Where is my pre-sprayed Celine? Here we go. I got Peru balsam, says Pradeep. Yeah, that absolutely, that kind of quietly balsamic stuff. Christine says, this sounds lovely, and 60s gamine makes me think of Audrey Hepburn. I suppose, but somebody's mentioning L'Interdit, but that was a really aldehydic perfume, wasn't it? This one isn't like that. Okay, let's do pre-sprayed. I have a feeling it's going to be really quiet. Okay. It is quiet. I would imagine it's going to be very close to the skin, but what you get is a really, really nice balsamic accord of maybe things like Tolu balsam, Peru balsam, tonka bean, vanillin, all of those sorts of sweetly gentle balsams. But it's nice. It's nicely done. It's sophisticated, I think, in a way that a lot of the Celine perfumes are sophisticated, sometimes to the point where they can come across as a tiny bit boring. Because, I think an excess of sophistication, the Italians tend to do sophistication well, don't they? They do sophistication with a twist of eccentricity. When the French, and this is terribly, terribly generalizing now, when the French do sophistication, they can come across as a bit staid and stuffy. And this isn't staid and stuffy, but it's just a tiny bit, potentially a tiny bit shoulder shruggy, kind of going into the territory of forgettably pleasant. But nicely done. Nicely done. I will have to revisit it. Rachel says, in French slang, at least when I lived there, Zouzou meant a very original person, like a zebra with no stripes. Okay, well, this isn't that original. Pradeep says, it was lactonic for me. Okay, yeah, I get that too. Wagstaff says, I hear the nano gears clicking past pre-dipped mermaid every time. I know. It's just, who would have thought that one video would have been enough to condition me into saying that? Ula says, oh my God, Mr. P, I've recently received your book. Oh, well done. Snatched it so fast that only after it arrived, I realized it's actually in German. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, because the German version is not out of print, whereas the English version is out of print. Gavin says, sophistication when Chanel does Iris plus plus, yet again for an exclusive. Yeah, or generic elegance, says Tripty. Yeah, that's a good one as well. Still, nicely done. Although very, very expensive. Okay, we are done. Thank you very much for tuning in. As I say, send good thoughts for the exam marking that I've got to do over the course of the next few weeks, and wherever possible, I will come back with a few more videos. At the moment, I'm thinking that the evening of Wednesday, the 12th of June might be a possibility, but please don't hold me to it. Goodbye to your gamine self, says Gavin. Oh, it's been a long time since I was gamine. Ula says, still looks great on my bookshelf. The cover is gorgeous. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that if I had a copy to send you, an English one, then I would gladly do so. If anybody's ever interested in the book, it is long out of print. Sometimes copies do turn up. online, but unfortunately the people who are selling them charge silly money for them, and I'm talking, you know, £130, £140, and I don't think anybody should be spending that sort of money on that book. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will hopefully see you very soon. Until next time, be good, be gamine. Bye now.